something on this one process control block. So this almost you have seen. I have just told you the detailed process control block. I will show you and some numericals on this. Let us see on this fundamental state transitions. We will see numerical and we will go to the threads today. Okay. So this process control block we are going to complete it today. So I'll make it to black color. Turn it to black. So this one we have completed today. We'll complete and we'll start this threads. Okay, so till here I have told you. Let us cover this also. We'll cover up these two concepts. Will cover up by the time you complete your internals. So if you want till fifth concept, we'll include that. If you don't want till here only, as of now, it is full of concept. Right? Yeah. Just move on for the first control block. So all the material what we have, right? I have kept it in the teams. You can go to files option, select the operating system. From that module 1, 2, 3, you can check it out. Yeah, so this example is what we are going to see now. So it's same like module 1, we have something called time sharing system, right? Different types of classes are there in operating system, right? Multi-processing, time sharing and all that. So this is the example for that, time sharing. Let us assume something of this time where let us say an example, we have two processes P1 and P2. How many process? Two process P1 and P2. Out of the two process, same example, what we have seen in module 1, if possible, what I will do is I will copy the slide from there and add it here. Just a second. Module 1, we have seen that question. There, wherein we have two process P1 and P2 we have, and P1 it will take some time, P2 it will take some time, and for IO and CPU all that you have seen, right? So similar type of question it is. So I'll take that question. But common time sharing process. Okay, time sharing system. Not also we can read it, but if you have that, it will be handy.
Sir, you're on mute.
So just a minute. You go through this one, just go through it. Just a minute. Yeah, this problem will not come now. Yeah, change the setting. Right. Fine. So let us see this numerical. It's very simple numerical what we are trying to do. We have two processes with us, process P1 and process P2. So both of them will take some time for CPU and some time for input output. Okay, so that's what we are trying to see here. Remember this time 15 and 30 for P1, P2 for CPU, 160 for IO, right? Okay, so fine. So let us look into it. What is happening with this? So this diagram, you know what we have seen. I'll come back to this again. As of now, we are interested in this one. Okay. So we have something here: the states, running state, ready state. So which one is active, right? Which one is scheduled? That will be in running state. Look at this diagram here: P1, P2. P1 is running. Here P2 is running. P1 is running, and P2 is running. Whichever is scheduled here, that will be in running state. The other will be in block state or ready state, whatever. Okay, let us see now. So this is like similar to this diagram. This one is similar to this diagram, what we have seen in module 1. But now we are talking about whether which state it is. It is running state or ready state. What state it is, we are trying. Okay. So now what we have understood from this example, what from module 1. So remember these two in your memory. CPU 15 milliseconds, IO 100 milliseconds, CPU 30 and IO 60. Right? So based on that, let us proceed. Now, at time 0, there are no events scheduled, correct? So if we assume that P1 is having a priority, we'll schedule that P1. Okay, P1 is scheduled, and it will go up to, it will be in running state, whereas P2 it will be ready for the next preemption. Okay, so exactly we are taking the time slice. You can see this here. You can see this here. We will take the time slice as 10 milliseconds. Let us assume the time slice as 10 milliseconds, which means anything can execute in 10 milliseconds. After that, it has to be preempted and given to other one. Okay, it's like this. You have a storybook with you. Your brother and you are studying a storybook. So you are studying for 10 minutes, and the deal is you have to give it after 10 minutes to your brother. He will study the text, the corresponding storybook. Or TV remote, half an hour is for you, half an hour is for your brother or for your mother, so whatever. Okay, so that's the deal. That's the time sharing process. So what we do here is for 10 milliseconds we have to get preempted. So P1 is scheduled now. It will run from 0 to 10 milliseconds. Okay, and it is in running state, whereas P2 will be ready next. Right? P2 will be ready state. We are just talking about what is the state here, which state each of them belongs. Next, so P1 is preempted because its time quota is completed 10 milliseconds. It will wait for its turn again. Now P2 is scheduled. As P2 is scheduled, it is in ready state, running state, and P1 will be ready for the next thing to happen. Correct? So this is of CPU. What is happening here is for CPU. You see this time here, 15 for P1 and 30 for P2, right? And IO time what we have taken here is 10 milliseconds. So P1 15 it is, so 10 plus 5, 50, 15, so it will be still running state. But whereas here, look at this one, P2 is preempted, right? So P2 is stopped from this and P1 will be scheduled. As P1 is scheduled, it is running state. But actually we need only 5 milliseconds, correct? 20 because 10 already we covered up in this first line. And for P1, CPU time is only 15 milliseconds. So 20 plus 5, 15 milliseconds it will be running state, and it will initiate the IO block because it has got 10 milliseconds time. Okay, it has changed that CPU has changed and it has got its turn. Now it has to change to the IO part. So where the P1 IO will start here and P2 will get scheduled. So P2 will come to running state. So P2 will take 10 more milliseconds. Already it has consumed 10 milliseconds. Now second 10, 20 milliseconds it has taken. Okay. So this will become P1 get blocked. First P1 is going to start the IO. CPU is not using. So it gets blocked and P2 will be ready. And after some 10 more milliseconds, what will happen? This P2 will get scheduled, okay, and it will be in running state. So this is showing the states of the CPU, not the IO block. So P2 will get started. This is same and similar as the diagram what we have seen previously. So this diagram is there in your module 1. So we understood this module 1 diagram, right? So 0, 10, 20, 25, 35, 40. Same example they are given here, 25, 35, 45, same example. But instead of telling about the states, along with that, they told about the new states also. What is the new states of P1 and so if you look at this one, what will happen here, like ready state, block state. So this diagram shows us the process state and state transitions using two swapped states. So we have two states are there here. How they are getting swapped? Let us think that we have a new process starting up. New process will be ready swapped. So it's getting ready now. Now ready swap means it can go to ready, right? Or it can wait some time here. It can be coming from the block state or it can be going to the ready state. Let us say it is moving to the ready state. Okay. So ready state, when here it is getting dispatched, it will go to running state, it will terminate. That's a smooth flow. Okay. If you are ready state, it is not done. You have to come back again and wait for the ready swap. Because I told, yeah, you can tell something to me. But I told you, no, wait 1 second or wait 2 minutes. Like swap, which means it has got the access but still it is not able to get dispatched, so it will turn back to the swap process. Okay, so this new process can go to ready state directly or come to ready swap state, whichever it is. When it is ready swap state, it will come, it can be two ways. One is, if some other process was ready, it is not able to take it, I'll put it in the buffer. Or it can come from running, it can come from block state. Block state, it can go to ready state, or it can go to block swap state. So again, it will wait some time here because instead of going again to ready, it will wait some time there. It's like this. It is. For example, you try to uh, let us say try to book a ticket. Okay, online you are doing it fine. If you want to book it, you don't have to book online. You have to go to the place and book it. Right, you have to go to the corresponding agent and book it, or corresponding KSRTC terminal on which go and book it. There you went, they went for lunch. Will you come back to home and go again? No, right? You wait some more time there and wait for your turn and get it booked. So something like that. Instead of getting blocked and waiting there only, giving too much of traffic, if it is required, it can be swapped there itself and we can able to wait some time there. So coming from block to block swap to block, like that we can make that way. Usually you know this diagram. This diagram you know. 1 second. This diagram you know. Simple diagram, new process where it is ready, it will be blocked or it will be run and terminated. Simple diagram. Now what they made here is for ready also they added one more block called ready swap, and for blocked also they add one more block swap. So like that the diagram became now. So looks complicated, the diagram looks complicated, but if you remove this portion below, sorry, if you remove these two blocks, it is same as the previous block. They are giving an additional feature for ready and for blocked also to get swapped. Okay, so swap in and swap out is what they are trying to do using two swap states. So before what we know only this many states: ready state, block state, running state, and terminated state. Only these 5 states are available, or 4 states are available. Now additionally, 2 more states they have added. That's what they mean to say from this diagram. The 2 more states are called as what? Ready swap state and block swap state. So these 2 states are getting added along with the 4 states. So for this, the transitions we have. Okay. So with this, been able to complete this part. Fundamental state transition of process. So this part we have completed with an example. Right? With this, we have done with it. Now let us take up this complex threads part we have to do now. So any doubts in this or any clarifications from this? It's simple. Only thing is we have only 4 states 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 states we have. Now what happened is, instead of making 4 states overloaded, so we have something of this kind of. What they did, they made this states extra, which are ready swapped and block swapped. That's all. Okay. And I told you the process control block in detail if you want to see. So, block. So this is the process control block what we have. We can enlarge this portion. We can use that. And what all apart from these 4 fields, what we can do is we can include all these 6 fields. What are the 6 fields it is having? So this 6 fields. So all these fields you can include in that. That can make it enlarge the process control block, process ID, process code, process data, process stack, resources, and CPU state. All that you can include to make it understood clearly. Process control block. Okay, this is one of the important questions, which is process control block. This slide I'll remove it. It's not required to make you understand. I have brought it here. Let us say not required. For this to understand, for this one to understand, we have taken this input. For example, CPU burst time is 15 and CPU activity, all that. Okay. So any doubts in this? Okay. So let us look into the threads. The thread part. Let us look into it. So yeah, feel comfortable to discuss any doubts you have or any clarifications. Hello. Hello. You can hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So let us see something about threads. So usually, what is meant by a thread in normal meaning of thread in English? What is thread actually? In general, leave operating systems for some time. What is thread? Thread rope we call it, right? What is this thread? What is this thread? So I'll show you some diagram. You can see that and you can understand something from that. Okay. You see this one? This is the process. Okay. Inside the process, we have a thread. How many are there here? How many threads are there here in the process? In the diagram,
3, sir.
3 are there. So does that mean that only 3 threads will be there in a process, or it can be many? They could have drawn 4 also, right? Or they could have drawn 2 also. Why they have drawn 3 threads? It's an interesting question for us that we have to see. Okay. And if you see this one, context of process PI, what they mentioned here, the same block, inside the same block, we have these many things. What are these things? Code, data, stack, memory information, resource information, file pointer. So these many fields are there inside the process. Okay. And along with the process control block. We have seen this PCB, right? Process control block. We also have something called TCBs, which are called thread control block, which are called as what? Thread control block. These are the thread control blocks. So this is your process control block, and this is your thread control block. So what is the overview of this diagram? Threads in process PI. First one is concept and next implementation. This is the concept. What is the concept? We have a process. The process have threads inside it. It is very simple to you to make you understand. What should I say you? Yes. You want to call someone using mobile phone. Correct? You want to call someone using mobile phone. So that is the part. So we have some program for it. We have some program for it. If you are trying to call someone internally inside the software, the program will run. Inside the operating system of mobile, the program will run. Or else, if you want, I'll tell other example with using the operating system. Let us try to understand this example. If you want to call someone, correct? So it looks like very simple. Just call what is there, call green button and the call red button. It looks very simple for us. But when you go into the micro level, like if you want to call someone, either you should go to the dial pad, or you should go to the contact, or you should dial the number, redial it, or whatever way it is. Now it's also involves some subtopics or some subdivisions. Let us say you should unlock the mobile phone, right? Unlock mobile phone is one process. After unlocking, you should be able to see the icons on the screen. Second process. Third process, you should navigate to the dial pad. Fourth process, search the contact. Fifth process, you click on that dial button of the contact. Next, you should have a signal, then connect it to the other person. Then you should lift, then you can able to get the response here back. Which means when we are trying to look into the system, it looks very simple for us. But when you're trying to make the operating system to do it, it's a bit complicated. Complicated means which involves each and every minute input. Okay, so as we discussed, the program will have the processes. The process will have these threads. The process will have these threads. Okay, and one more thing like this it is. So threads are very simple to make you understand what is that. Like when someone has kept a photograph in your group, WhatsApp group, what will you do? You have to reply for that message. You do so like this, swipe it to the right side and reply for it. So that's a thread. The connection of that message. Okay, and when you try to see the messages in your Facebook comments, usually in YouTube also you can see that. YouTube, you have seen a video, for example. In video down, comment section will be there, and for comments they'll put a comment. You know that for a video what they upload in YouTube, they have comments, and for the comment what they have made, for that further they make comments, and someone they made a comment, for further they make some comments. Yes or no? You know that, or no? You're aware of it? Yes? No?
Yes,
Yes, you have seen that. So that is your thread that we call usually as thread, which means the chain link of one to one. Now let us see what is this threads in our operating system. What is this concept? Applications use concurrent process to speed up the operation, which will help us in speeding up the process. They are called as threads. So switching between the process within an application incurs high process switching overhead. So size of process state information is large. As we know that when you are switching from one process to other process, what will happen? Large amount of data has to be replaced. Large amount of data has to be replaced. So instead of that, what they did, they made this process again into subdivisions. So which means in this process, let us say we have 3 threads. Now whenever you are trying to move from one process to other process, you don't need to store the entire data from the process. Store the data only confined to that thread. You understood that why the threads are useful now? Yes, no?
yes, sir.
Okay, so it's like this. It is whenever today, for example, you have 4 hours of class. So what you have did for each class, you may have some 5 or 2 minutes gap, or let us say optimum 0 minutes gap. Correct, because one will end, other will start. So each class, you are not closing your laptop or you are not closing your notebooks, right? Almost literally, you're not getting any break time, for example. Okay, or if you got something like this, morning first hour you have, and third hour you have, second hour is not there for you. But still, you don't shut down your system or you don't close everything. Correct, you be there only. So why? Because if you close it again, you have to restart from once again everything. So these threads are the part of a process where I'll make it simple to you. Instead of making it complicated, I'll make it simple to you. A process is having three threads, let us say. In first case, there are no threads. Everything I should copy and go. Now, now what I should do? I should take only that thread and store it. So other two threads data I no need to carry again. So which will speed up the process. Will speed up the execution. Is that clear? So much more better example to make you understand. Yeah, uh, you have four cousins with you. Okay, all you and your four cousins are staying together, right? And now what happened? You felt hungry and you want to have some food. Afternoon, everyone after lunch they are sleeping. Now what you did is you wake up to get your food or to get your glass of water. Now one more cousin has waked up and has seen you, right? So you can take only that cousin and go and have a glass of water or have something from your refrigerator, have a piece of chocolate, enjoy, and come back and silently you take rest. So you're not carrying other two. So this threads is like that. And before case, you have to wake up everyone. You should go. Everyone, when they wake up, lot of noise, lot of difficulty in execution. The parents will tell you what you are doing at this midnight. You are eating chocolates in the refrigerator without knowing to your parents, or you are fetching some pastries from the refrigerator, right? Something like this kind. So where the involvement of this is minimized and the execution will be faster. Is that clear? And very similar to that, if you are planning for a trip, you are planning for a trip now, it's not possible anyway. It's optimal to, it's very difficult to discuss on it. Let us say you want to go for a trip. What will you try? You try all with 6 students, 120 students. So one will come, one will not come, one will tell, yeah, it's COVID time, yeah, it's difficult, yeah. Or other will tell, no, it's not possible, it's not safe. So like that, the comments will come. So what you do? You and your friend will go and come back over. That's all. Correct? So what is this? So this is your thread. Before it's a process, right? So thread is a part of process to make it much more simple. A thread is an alternative model of a program execution which provides concurrently with less overhead, no headache, nothing. You want to go, you take a car, you and your friend can travel, come back. But whereas before, you take everyone, you have to come back with everyone safely. So like that, let us see this one here. Process switching overhead has two components. Whenever you are trying to switch from one to one, you'll have two overheads. Okay, so two overhead is what? Execution related overhead, resource overhead. Execution means what? You have planned to go from here to your native, as in lockdown time. You have to go from here to your native. So two things you have to check: how to execute that, when to travel. Second thing is how to allocate the resources. So resources like you have to travel by bike, bus, car, right? What way, means of transportation you use, who will receive you, right? So whether you have the key with you, you have to lock here, all that are resources. Execution, how to do that? How to do that? So let us talk this in terms of operating system. CPU state of running process has to be saved. Whenever you are trying to move from here to other place, You should make sure that everything what you have is kept in proper place. No power is going unnecessarily. Switch off the mains, right? Like that. Here, the CPU has to store its content before it's leaving for other process. So that is called execution rate overhead, which means it has to carry that baggage also. It has to carry that data also along with it. So next is resource use related overhead. The process context also has to be switched. It involves switching of the information about resources allocated to the process, which means I am switching from process P1 to process P2. Process P1 have the resource of input. Process P2 has the resource of output. I should switch now from P1 to P2. I should switch the resource from input to output. That baggage I have to carry. That is called as overhead. You have two types of overhead whenever you are trying to use the thread or process. First is execution related overhead. Second is resource related overhead. So execution means CPU, whatever data it is having, it has to carry that. Resources is like input device or output device of that time. Okay. Next, the process creates a thread through a system call. How the threads are created? The threads are created by a process. How process gets created? Whenever you try to execute a program, the process will get created by default. Okay, the process gets created by itself defaultly whenever you are trying to execute a program. But how the threads are created? The process will create a thread. How it create? Through a system call it will create. So these threads will operate along within the process context. The threads will not execute outside the process. They will execute within the process. Okay. So this use of threads will effectively split the process into two parts. Whenever you are trying to use a thread, the thread will effectively help the process execution in two parts, as we discussed previously. Resource state remains within process, CPU state associated with the thread. So these two parts it will execute. Now, one thread is completed, you have to go for other thread. Switching between threads incurs less overhead than switching between process. So that one thread to other thread, if you are trying to move, the switching overhead is very less comparatively one process to other process. Okay, is that clear? Any doubts in this? It's simple. All four friends are staying near in the same community. If you want to shift from one house to other house, yeah, you all four has to join in different locations. It becomes difficult. As you are staying in the same room, shifting from one room to other room, it is very easy. So that's what the thread shifting is very simple than the process shifting. Okay, yeah. So thread is an alternative model for program execution. So threads we are going to use for doing that, so that we have seen. So this is how the threads are there here. Okay, that's the context of process. The process, inside this process we have the threads. Along the threads we have something called thread control blocks. We call it as TCBs also. So what is there inside that? Advantages when you use threads. Advantages are what? We can lower the overhead of creation and switching. Movement of here and there, and creating something, the overhead can be minimized. And we can able to communicate effectively. And the design is very simple. So these are the advantages when you use the threads. So before we are using process based communication, that is okay, good. But when you have two process, we are trying to switch over. It is taking a lot of overhead. To minimize the overhead and to execute faster, you got the concept of threads. So these are the three advantages of using the threads over the process. Now we will see something thread types. There are kernel level threads, user level, and hybrid threads. Kernel level, user level, and hybrid threads. Okay, so what are the kernel level, what are the user level, and